He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at his boots. They were covered in dried mud, heavy and stiff, just like his legs felt. It was 4 in the morning. Outside the small window, the village was pitch black, silent except for the distant, rhythmic chirping of crickets and the occasional rustle of wind through the cornfields. His body screamed at him to lie back down. His mind whispered that it was okay to skip just one day, that nobody would know, and that he could work twice as hard tomorrow. But he knew that was a lie. That was the lie that had almost ruined his life. This is the moment where most people lose. This is the exact second where dreams die, not with a bang, but with a warm blanket and a snooze button. If you are listening to this, chances are you have felt that heavy feeling in your chest, that lack of spark. You are waiting for motivation to come and save you. But I am here to tell you, motivation isn't coming. And that is actually the best news you could hear. Welcome back to Emotional and True Stories, a place where we strip away the noise and look at what really makes a life worth living. If you are ready to hear the truth about why you are stuck and how to actually move forward, do me a favor right now. Take a second to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps us get these real stories to the people who need them most. Now let's walk down that dirt path into the life of a young man named Elias and discover why motivation failed him, but discipline saved his future. Elias lived in a valley that people often forgot. It was a simple place, a village where your last name meant something, and where your worth was measured by the calluses on your hands. The air always smelled of pine needles and damp earth. Life there moved slowly, like the river that cut through the center of town. Elias was known in the village, but not for the reasons he wanted. He was known as the guy with the big ideas, the starter. If you sat with Elias at the local tea stall, he would talk your ear off about his plans. He was going to build the biggest barn the village had ever seen. He was going to revolutionize the way they irrigated the crops. He was going to act right and change the world. And when he talked, his eyes lit up. He had that fire. He had motivation. For the first few days of any project, Elias was a machine. He would wake up before the sun, running on pure adrenaline. He would buy the best tools, clear the land, and sweat with a smile on his face. The villagers would watch him and nod, thinking maybe this time Elias would actually do it. But motivation is like a matchstick. It burns bright and hot, but it burns out fast. The problem wasn't that Elias didn't want success. The problem was that Elias was addicted to the feeling of success before he had actually earned it. One spring, Elias decided he was going to restore the old water mill at the edge of the property. It had been broken for 20 years, rotting away in the damp air. He told everyone, "I'm going to fix it. I'm going to grind grain for the whole village." He was pumped up. He spent the first week ripping out rotten wood, singing while he worked. But then the second week came. The adrenaline faded. He hit a snag, a rusted bolt that wouldn't budge. It rained for 3 days straight. The mud was deep, sucking the boots right off his feet. The work wasn't fun anymore. It was cold, wet, and miserable. Elias woke up that Wednesday morning, and the feeling was gone. The want was gone. He looked outside at the gray sky and thought, "I'm not feeling it today. I'll wait until I'm inspired again." So he stayed in bed. One day turned into two. Two turned into a week. The weeds started to grow back around the mill. The tools he left out got rusty. The villagers stopped asking about it. just giving him that sympathetic look that hurts more than an insult. Motivation had left him, and because he had nothing to replace it with, he collapsed. This cycle went on for years until Elias was no longer the young man with potential. He was becoming the man who never finished. He was broke, living in a small room at the back of his parents' house, surrounded by half-finished projects and broken promises. He felt worthless. He fell into a deep depression, convinced that he just wasn't built for success. He thought successful people were born with a battery that never ran out, a constant stream of energy that he simply didn't have. He was ready to give up on everything and just accept a life of mediocrity. That was until he met the carpenter, an old man named Samuel, who lived at the top of the hill. Samuel wasn't loud. He didn't talk about his plans at the tea stall. In fact, Samuel rarely spoke at all. But every single morning, at exactly 5 a.m., the sound of Samuel's hammer echoed through the valley. Clang, clang, clang. It was a rhythm as reliable as the sunrise. Samuel had built half the houses in the village, and his furniture was sold in the city for prices Elias couldn't imagine. One evening, desperate and out of options, Elias walked up the hill. He found Samuel sanding a chair leg. The old man didn't look up, his hands moving in a steady circular motion. Elias stood there for a long time before he finally spoke. "How do you do it?" Elias asked, his voice cracking. "How do you stay motivated for 40 years? I can't even stay motivated for 40 days. Samuel stopped sanding. He blew the dust off the wood and looked at Elias with eyes that were sharp and clear. He laughed, a dry, raspy sound. "Motivated?" Samuel asked. "Boy, I haven't felt motivated since 1985. Elias was confused. "But you work every day. You build masterpieces. If you aren't motivated, how do you work?" Samuel put down the chair and walked over to a water pump, washing his hands. "You think I like waking up in the cold?" Samuel said. "You think I like getting splinters and breathing in sawdust? You think my back doesn't hurt? I don't work because I feel like it. I work because I am disciplined. And that is why you're failing, Elias. You are a slave to your feelings." That sentence hit Elias like a punch to the gut. A slave to his feelings, Samuel continued, leaning against his workbench. "You treat work like a romance. You only want to be there when it's exciting and fresh. But success isn't a romance, son. It's a marriage. It's a contract. It means you show up when you're tired, when you're angry, when you're bored, and when you'd rather be anywhere else. Motivation is a fickle friend. It leaves when the storm comes. Discipline is the friend who holds the umbrella while you dig the ditch." Samuel offered Elias a deal. He would teach him how to be a master carpenter, but on one condition. Elias had to show up at 5 a.m. every single morning for 6 months. If he was 1 minute late even once, the mentorship was over. No excuses. "No, my alarm didn't go off. No, I wasn't feeling well. Just show up," Elias agreed, thinking, "I can do this. I'm motivated now." But Samuel shook his head. "Don't tell me you can do it. Just be here." In a village nestled between rolling hills and a whispering forest lived a young man named Elias. He was talented, quick-witted, and full of potential, but he lacked one crucial thing: discipline. His days were a whirlwind of started projects and abandoned ambitions, his energy scattered like leaves in the wind. He yearned for greatness, but his path was a tangled mess of good intentions and poor follow-through. Watching from afar was Samuel, an old craftsman whose hands, though wrinkled with age, moved with a precision and grace that spoke of a lifetime of dedication. Samuel was renowned not just for his exquisite woodwork, but for the quiet wisdom he embodied. He saw the spark in Elias, a fire that was in danger of burning out before it could ever truly blaze. One sunny afternoon, as Elias was once again giving up on a half-carved block of wood, Samuel approached him. He didn't scold or lecture. Instead, he held out a small, unpolished stone. "Elias," he said, his voice calm and steady, "I have a task for you. Take this stone. Every morning at sunrise, come to the river and strike it once against the great boulder by the water's edge. Do this every day without fail." Elias was baffled. Strike a stone? What good will that do? It seems pointless. Samuel simply smiled. "Just do this one thing, every day. Then we will talk." Skeptical but intrigued by the old man's cryptic challenge, Elias agreed. The first few mornings were a struggle. Waking at dawn felt like a punishment. The air was cold, and his bed was warm. The single, repetitive act of striking the stone felt absurd. He saw no change, no progress. Doubts crept in. What was the point of this meaningless ritual? Several times he almost gave up, telling himself it was a fool's errand. But something in Samuel's steady gaze, a quiet promise of something more, kept him going. Weeks turned into months. The act of waking at dawn was no longer a battle. It became a habit. The walk to the river became a time of quiet reflection. The single strike of the stone against the boulder became a ritual, a moment of focus that anchored his entire day. He started noticing the subtle changes in the sunrise, the sound of the river, the feel of the cool morning air. The world around him seemed to come into sharper focus. One morning, after nearly a year had passed, Elias looked at the small stone in his hand. It was no longer rough and jagged. The daily impact had smoothed its edges, polishing it to a soft, pleasing sheen. He then looked at the great boulder. Where his small stone had struck, day after day, a noticeable groove had been worn into the massive rock. It was a small indentation, but it was undeniable. A wave of understanding washed over him. He rushed to Samuel's workshop, the polished stone held tightly in his hand. Samuel was there, sanding a piece of oak, and looked up as if he had been expecting him. Before Elias could even speak, Samuel said, "Tell me what you have learned." Elias took a deep breath. "I thought you were teaching me to change the stone, or even the boulder," he began, his voice filled with a newfound clarity. "But you weren't. You were teaching me to change myself. The daily act, the consistency. It wasn't about the stone. It was about me. It built a strength inside me I never knew I had." Samuel nodded, his eyes twinkling with pride. "Discipline, my boy, is not a chain that binds you. It is the key that unlocks your true potential. It's the chisel that shapes the raw block of your talent into a masterpiece. A single drop of water can do little, but over time a steady drip can wear away the hardest rock. Your daily commitment, that small, seemingly insignificant act, has cultivated a powerful force within you." From that day forward, Elias was a changed man. He returned to his abandoned projects, but this time he approached them differently. He broke down large, intimidating tasks into small, daily actions. He applied the lesson of the stone to every aspect of his life. Learning a new carving technique wasn't about mastering it in a day, but about practicing one small cut every day. Building a sturdy table wasn't about a frantic weekend of work, but about shaping one joint, one plank with focused effort day after day. His work began to transform. The impatience that had once plagued him was replaced by a calm, steady focus. His creations were no longer just promising. They were exquisite, filled with the detail and care that only patience and discipline can bring. The villagers who once saw him as a flighty youth now looked at him with respect. They saw the same precision and dedication in his work that they had long admired in Samuel's. Years passed, and as Samuel grew older, Elias became his natural successor. He not only mastered the craft of woodwork, but also the art of mentorship. He took on young apprentices, and when he saw a restless, unfocused talent, he didn't lecture them on hard work. Instead, he would walk with them to the river, hand them a rough stone, and share the simple, profound lesson that had changed his life. He taught them that greatness isn't born from a single burst of inspiration, but from the quiet, relentless rhythm of daily discipline. It's about showing up, especially on the days you don't want to. It's about striking your stone against the boulder day after day, not to wear down the rock, but to polish the soul. Elias became a leader in his community, a testament to the power of small, consistent efforts. His life story became a legend, a reminder that the most powerful transformations don't happen overnight. They happen one day, one sunrise, one single, deliberate action at a time. The journey from potential to mastery is paved with the simple, yet profound, power of doing the small things consistently. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more tales of wisdom and personal growth. See you in the next video.